Hey, ladies, welcome to this episode of the She Is Extraordinary podcast. I am here with a beautiful lady, another beautiful lady I get to interview. Her name is Rhonda Ryals, and she is a real estate agent with Fathom Realty in Tampa, Florida. And she and I connected. You may have heard from me. I'm really trying to be intentional about actually having one-on-one conversations with all of my Facebook and Instagram friends. I know that's like a big thing. Like, how am I going to accomplish it? Well, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And so the other day I was talking with Rhonda and I said, you're pretty amazing. I need to get you on the podcast. So let's say hey to Rhonda.
Hi.
Hi there, hon. So Rhonda has been a real estate agent for 3 years. And I know there's so many real estate agents that follow me because I used to specialize in working with agents and brokers. So how about we start, Rhonda, with telling the ladies before we tell them about how much success that you've been able to achieve in 3 years' time. Let's talk about before real estate. Can you give the ladies kind of a background thumbnail sketch?
Okay, well, so I was married pretty early. So I married right out of high school. So I was married at 18, pregnant at 20, pregnant at 19, had my first child at 20. And for 20 some years, I was just that. I was a mom, wife. I never worked full time. And then all of that came to a halt when, out of the blue, sucker punched, my husband said that he wanted a divorce. So my world was turned upside down, and all of a sudden I had, 2 kids, and actually also a mentally disabled mother that I take care of. And I had to find a full-time job and had to navigate the world on my own now.
So, what was that like? You're a Christian woman, and here you go. You're thinking life is honky-dory until one day, like you said, you got sucker punched. How did you get through that and come out of it so well?
So I've always had this kind of mantra where you're allowed 5 minutes, right? You're allowed 5 minutes to just scream, cry, feel sorry for yourself. But after 5 minutes, you have to move on. And I really feel that in my soul. And, I had 3 people depending on me. And it was horrible, to tell you the truth. For a good 6 months, it was a lot of ups and downs. I even turned to asking the doctor for an antidepressant, which totally didn't work. I would say 6 months just really sucked. And then after that, then, you go through the grieving process, right? Just like if my marriage died. So I had to grieve for it and go through all the process of being sad, being mad. And then I kind of just started, I was done with my 5 minutes, and just decided that I had to move on. So I did get the full-time job. We owned a house. So of course we had to move into an apartment, me and the kids and my mom, and sell the house. And it took maybe like a 1.5 to 2 years to even, get a divorce. And that was final, and go through all the, custody and all of that.
Right. Right. So I love your 5 minutes. I always say like 2 minutes because I think that's true.
5.
Yeah, you do 5, and which, like you said, as a practical matter, it was 6 months of hell, I'm sure, right? I've been divorced. It's not a fun experience, no matter the reason, even if it seems like the right thing to do under the circumstances. But I love that idea because that's what the top 1%, that's how we approach things, right? Think about that. The only way you're going to come out okay is, number 1, with the Lord Jesus Christ. And number 2, when you say, because of him, I'll be okay, even though I don't feel okay right now. I don't feel like being happy, but the Bible says be joy-filled even if, because of who he is. So I just love that. So ladies, I have no doubt that of the thousands of women who listen to this podcast, someone's going through this right now. So be encouraged that you're listening to 2 of your sisters who have gone through it, and we're on the other side. And just hold tight hold fast to the Lord, know that, call me anytime. I mean, ladies, really. And I bet you Rhonda will be the same way. I will be here for you. You have an ear in me. So, all right, just one more thing, and I want to move on from this, but I do want to give the ladies like some tips even, just real quick, like logistically. As you said, you had your 2 kids and your mom that were relying on you. So all of a sudden, when you hadn't worked, you've got to go find something to do. How did you handle that? Like, what were the ages of your kids? And logistically, how did that work?
So at that time, my daughter was a senior in high school. And, you know, we joke now, but she's like, you know, we totally ruined her senior year in high school, but it worked out. She's fine now. And my son was 9. So he,
kind of hard to remember, right? I mean,
yeah, like so many details and so many things happen, you know, and I just
you just figured it out.
We just figured it out, and you know, looking back, you know, it's always hindsight, and you could tell that every step of the way God's hand was totally upon us and over us and in the mix. But you don't feel that way when you're going through it. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're grieving. So you're not seeing things right? All right. So tell us about how you entered real estate.
So I got a full-time job, and then I was in a cubicle. I worked customer service. I won't tell you where, but I worked customer service, and it was a commission based. So, you know, you, based on your production, you made your commission. So, and I loved it. And I was always a top producer. But I was in a cubicle all day, and it was the type of customer service where you would get, if things weren't, you know, you couldn't make the customer happy, you were getting yelled at, cussed at, hung up on. So it was stressful. So I literally one morning, I remember it clearly. I drove to work. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I just cried because I did not want to go in. I couldn't even imagine myself getting out of my car one more day and walking through that door. It was that bad.
Wow.
So I started, of course I did. And I started asking around to friends, you know, what do you know? Who's hiring? What can I do? I needed benefits, you know, I mean, medical, I needed to have insurance for the kids. So a couple of people actually said, you know, Rhonda, you know so many people, you know, you're so friendly. Why don't you become a realtor? And when one person said it, I was like, yeah, whatever. And when the second person said it, I started listening. And then probably 3 or maybe even 4, the fourth person said it. And so I looked into it. And then one thing led to another. I took the class, which I did it in person. So I think it took maybe 2 months to take the class here in Tampa Bay area, Florida. And then I started real estate part-time because I had so many fears and hesitations, and I didn't want to take the leap, and I still needed that insurance. So I was lucky enough, but unlucky, and I'll tell you that in just a moment. I was able to meet this gentleman who was a broker, and he told me about Fathom Realty, and he had a team, and he wanted me to be on his team. Well, it started out that he would just pay me, since I was going to be part-time, he would just pay me kind of like as a transaction coordinator. But I was doing the whole deal from start to finish. But I was only making a certain amount per transaction. We'll say $500 per transaction. Mm-hmm. So he was getting a lot of Zillow leads, and he was busy, and he just needed me to be an arm for him. Well, I did that. I did that for about 9 months. Really didn't make any money because I was only making, like we said, $500 per transaction, but I was busy enough to where I couldn't do both anymore. Wow. So I had to make the leap of faith, right? So I left my full-time job, and now I was a full-time realtor. still only making $500 per transaction
Oh my gosh.
because of me and myself and my fears, because I couldn't let go. I couldn't
Right,
just.
right. So do I understand you right, Rhonda, that you were under this team leader and you said you were doing it all? Does that mean you were going to listing appointments and getting the contract and then taking buyers out,
Every
showing
single
houses?
thing, $500.
Okay.
Yes. So, and I would have probably I was closing 4 deals a month. I mean, he spent a lot of money on Zillow, let me tell you. I mean, Zillow is expensive as we know as it is, but so $2,000 for me was okay to keep going. And I felt like I had a safety net because I knew that I could continue $2,000 a month. So he ended up not being a very good person, let's just say. So what I learned from that is a lot, though. Look, I got these 4 transactions a month, which is more than, I would say, 99% of new realtors would get in their first year. And finding out that he had done some not ethical things. So I stayed with Fathom, who is they're totally ethical company. But I got away from him, took a leave, doing it on my own. And it has just been so rewarding. And I've learned so much in the last year doing it on my own. Every now and then I get a little jealous. I see all the teams, doing that, the things that they do together.
Yeah.
I don't have that, but then I look at what I've done in the past year being solo, and I'm really happy with what I've accomplished. And, I can always make a lunch date with whoever and do my trainings with our local.
Yeah. So, I mean, ladies, if you're listening and you have no idea about the real estate industry, what Rhonda said is so true. 4 transactions in a month, people would kill for that. Like that's quite a lot of activity. And even if the home value is only 200,000, I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands, not 2,000. So understand, kind of just to give you perspective. But okay, so you leave that team. And by the way, you could start your own team. We've talked about that, right? So
yes.
Let's chat and see, because the camaraderie is huge.
Yes.
It is so nice. And you're such a leader. You would be a great servant leader, team leader, who, you and all your peeps would thrive because of your leadership. So, all right. So let's talk to the ladies. The top thing realtors and every business owner that I've ever worked with or that I've ever spoken with that they're concerned about is lead gen. How do I find qualified people who need what it is that I offer, whether it's a service or product? So I want you to speak to that. Like, tell me, number one, what training you got in that regard, if any. And second of all, what's your approach to finding clients?
Okay, so I totally believe it is. So with Fathom, their servant leadership, right? So it's their in fact, on there, and I told you this before, on my email signature, I have Matthew 20:26. Whoever wants to be great must first be a servant. So, and I totally believe in that. Like, if you put yourself out, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to be totally unapologetically unashamed at inserting yourself everywhere possibly organically. And I really believe in that. So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook. I'm always, every other day I'd say, putting things out there. I started out by asking friends. I literally just sent a text or an email to every friend I can think of. Hey, I'm on my own now. Do you know of anybody? Everything I do is, whether it's, I feel is right, but I was going to say whether it's right or wrong is organic. I do things for the community. I've always been that way, though. I've always been a helper, I guess you could say, where I've wanted to, if your kid was having selling cookies or Girl Scouts, I did Cub Scouts. I'd always want to help with that. And you just continue to seek out friends, and people want to help. All I can say is I'm just me. It's kind of speechless. Like when I think about the last year, it's kind of crazy.
And that is so neat. So let's fast forward to like right now. Here we are in 2020. Do you mind sharing your production, whether it's GCI or number of transactions, just so the listeners have an idea of who the heck we're talking to here? You're a woman who, you do big things.
So when we talked the other day and you had asked me about production, I really didn't have a number for you. And I remember thinking that, if you ever you can't measure success, or there's some kind of quote about that you really need to track it in order to keep succeeding and keep adding on to that. So I thought, well, let me go and look at what I have done this year. So this is my very first year by myself. And I will tell you, the year before, my income was only $27,000, but my very first year solo, I did $120,000 in commission.
Wow.
And this year I'm on track I've already done 136, and I think I'm on track to do 200. Sales side, I've had 26 this year. I have completed. I've got 5 under contract right now, and I potentially have 10 people right now who will sell or purchase by the end of the year. So we're looking at 40 to 45 transactions by the end of the year, which is about 3 to 4 a month. But we did have that COVID, and I did take some time out because I moved. I bought a new house this year.
Yay.
I've had $2 million months this year.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah. So I'm like seeing that written down I can't even believe it.
I mean, the ladies, on the podcast can't see your smiling face, but you're looking at those numbers and you almost seem amazed at your own success.
Yeah.
And we know it's by God's grace. So it's so funny for me as I sit here, sometimes I sitting here can see something that you maybe can't see. So what I'm sitting here thinking about is you're an amazing rainmaker. And when I ask you, how do you find leads? It's almost like, I don't know, I just do, right? I think that is really neat. And see, I think that is a really great lesson for so many women who are listening, Rhonda, because we overthink it. We say, oh, I can't send that text because I'll be pushy. Or, oh, I can't make that phone call because I don't want to bother people. So let's start right there. What would you say to that woman who's holding back on the follow-up and not sending that text or making that phone call because of those reasons I stated? What would you say to her?
Well, and I have to say that on that point, I feel kind of stupid sitting here. Like, I don't know, how do I get the leads? I really, but one thing I do know about myself is I am the follow-up queen. Like if I write everything, this is my list for today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I know it's so ancient and it's so but this is, if I can't, I have to see it, write it, touch it, feel it, right? Yep. Post-it notes. If I showed you around my desk right now, there's at least 25 Post-it notes staring at me. So these are just little reminders as I go about my day, and I will check off. I've already done probably half of these things on this list, but everything will be done by the end of the day. We don't carry over to the next day. And I'm the follow-up queen. So I will write it down. And if you say we're going to talk, at 7:00 tomorrow, I'll have my reminder on here. And people appreciate that. And they, if you're thinking about things before they've even thought about it, it says a lot. It says that you're organized, you're they're on the top of your mind. What I'm going to implement next year that, it's been, the business, it's a labor of love, right? You learn a little bit every day. Sitting here talking about myself is like the most horrible thing to me right now.
You're benefiting so many. So look at it that way. You're serving even now.
It's so horrible. I didn't even have it. I just now started my CRM. I just now realized how important that is to send out, a text and email to my database. I hired my little goddaughter, I guess you could say, I paid her, an hourly rate to put in all these, my Post-it notes everywhere, right? Put them in. I now have a database, CRM. I'm going to start using that. The time blocking, I felt like my whole day was a big time block, but now I see the importance of doing things and scheduling it. I've done everything myself. I don't have a transaction coordinator, but I've learned at one point this year, I did have 9 transactions at once. And I think that was my maximum. And I panicked, what am I going to do if I get one more person? I don't think I can handle it. So what would I do? So I definitely have things to work on. And I realized that, and in fact, it was on one of your podcasts, you said you don't have to do everything at once. I don't have to be this, I've been doing it for 3 years, but I don't have it all down for sure. I don't, so, and I don't have to do it. I don't even have to do it next year. If I do one thing next year, that's fine.
Yep. I love that, Rhonda, because there's so many things I just want to highlight here. Number one, when we improve our business, even by like 1% a day, then your business improves by 100% in 100 days. So even if you do 1% a week, then in a year, you're improving by 50%. So I love that incremental getting better, and the fact that we're always a work in progress. We've never arrived because there's always that next level. I also am smiling because I am always adamant with my clients, make sure you're time blocking, watch my training until you get it. I want you to implement it because it's going to make your life easier. And I firmly believe that's true. But ladies, you're listening to a woman who has more than thrived in her business and hasn't yet really mastered time blocking. So again, we need to stop these thought patterns of, ooh, I won't be able to make it until, or, there's one way to succeed. Look, if you're organized and you're motivated and you really, really, really want it and you work, you're going to make it. Easy as that, right? I mean, do you agree with that, Rhonda?
Yeah, and it's hard. It's so hard. Sometimes I'm up every morning. I'm definitely up at 6 a.m. And if I have an early morning appointment, I'm up at 5 because I know I've got that. I've lost an hour. It's hard, but it's so worth it. It's so fun, exciting.
See, now there you go too. You said it's hard work, but then you, with a smile, said it's fun. So I'm curious, do you have goals set as far as number of connections you want to make per day or number of appointments per week? Like, how do you approach your business in that regard?
Yeah, I'm not that organized yet. I'm not, and I know I have a list, right? I have a list of things that I know that I have to do. And then I do have a list of things that I need. I have folders here that are, my, things that I could be doing and should be doing. And then, so if I get this list done today, then I go to that folder and I pick something. Okay, well, I've got 2 hours left on my work day. What else can I do today? And then I try. So right now I'm working on YouTube. So I hate video. I hate it. I hate to hear myself talk. And I'm trying to get over myself, basically.
See, that's excellent. So you started your own YouTube channel. That's amazing. Okay, yes. So why don't we pause here before we go to the next question. Where can the ladies find you? You said that you're pretty much everywhere. So what's your handle, or is it vary depending on the platform?
Oh, geez. So, well, Facebook is Rhonda Ryals Realtor. And Instagram, I believe, is Rhonda Ryals Realtor. And my YouTube channel, I guess, is Rhonda Ryals.
Okay, we'll search your name.
I'm not even that organized where I know, I don't know. I think you just Google me, on YouTube or whatever.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so for someone listening and they're in real estate and maybe they've been trying, they're doing the things, they feel like they're doing what they need to do, but they're not getting this kind of traction. What advice would you have for her?
I would say, if you say you're doing the things, write it down. What things are you doing? Because when I went back to Fathom Solo, I really had to, I felt, I had that moment, right? Oh, well, I'm doing all this, but what was I doing? And when you go to write it down, there wasn't very much that I could write down that I was doing. So then I had to make a list of what could I be doing. And oh my gosh, that list is so very long. And then
like what? Like what, hon? Like farming, like
going to events, networking, joining groups, and being active in the groups. So I had just moved in March for COVID, during COVID, and people weren't socializing. So, but there was this next door. I don't know if you guys are familiar, next door. So I went on that, and we also have a Facebook community or neighborhood page. And when people needed vendors, well, of course I knew who all the vendors were. Their AC broke, oh well, this is this person. And so just inserting yourself everywhere. And then I had to bring all those long lists, and I'm trying to pull over that to now the other side, right? What am I doing? So this list of what I'm doing, hopefully one day will be longer than what I could be doing, because I'll be doing all the things.
Yeah. I love that. Insert yourself everywhere. And you said earlier, unapologetically, you're in business. So don't become that secret and then we'll scratch your head and say, well, why aren't I getting business? Because you're not putting it out there. So it starts with the basics there. And also, I love what you just said about, hey, you need a contractor, you need an electrician, you need to know, a resource in the community. I'm the one you ask. And so ladies in real estate, you should know everybody. That should be a goal. You should be time blocking time in your week to reach out and get to know everybody so that every business owner in your community knows you. That's awesome. All right. So let's bring it back to one more topic, and that is self-care. That's busy. I mean, real estate life, HGTV makes it seem like it's so glamorous, but those of us, I've had my license since '08, although I'm not in production now, it is hard work. It is a lot of time. So how do you take care of yourself and make sure you don't burn out?
Sometimes it's really hard, especially when you're a one-woman show. So I think that my number one goal, like I said, for next year is to prevent the burnout. What am I going to do when I have so many I have to give up some of my my chores, or I guess my control, maybe. And enlist others to help me. And I need to know who that is. But that's not what I do now. So now for self-care, I would say it's more of, travel, booking a trip. I do get my toes done every other week without fail. That's a must. That's a must do. I wake up extra early. I do try to go to bed early as well, but I do wake up extra early so that first hour of the day, I'm drinking my coffee, I'm having me time, prayer time, I'm making my list. First thing of the day, I think that's super important. It makes me feel better, like I have control of my day. Self-care.
Well, even what you said is good. I mean, that's like your guilty pleasure, quote unquote, the fact that every other week I'm getting my nails done, my toenails done. Yeah. So sure. That's like your thing. For me, I mean, it's like just getting outside. And I hate the cold. That's why I'm moving to South Carolina early next year. But I love getting outside. And the older I get, the more I love being outside. I love digging in the dirt. I don't mind dirt under my nails. I am not a nails kind of girl. My guilty pleasure is watching some old sitcoms on Hulu or Netflix. Like, I just love to escape,
Golden Girls. I am a Golden Girls freak, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah? Well, I've been going through lots of different shows. Wings. Right now, I'm hot on the Bob Newhart show because it reminds me of a simple time when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. And,
right.
So anywho, all right. Well, this has been great. So anything on your heart to tell, your sisters in Christ who may be listening, any advice, just generally, anything you care to share before we wrap up?
just say that, you know, always when you're going through a tough time, it really feels like you're alone and that it's never going to work out. I've had that, you know, hurt in the depths of your stomach because you can't pay a bill. And I've been negative in my bank account. And if you, I would just say that you just consistently trust and always pray. Never give up on that. You know, God never gives up on you. Don't give up on him. There's always a way out. Just keep believing, and especially believing in yourself, because a lot of times when I look back, it was me. I was always afraid. I wouldn't let go. You know, there's that meme that I love. It's a picture of Jesus holding the teddy bear behind his back, right? It's like this huge teddy bear, and this little girl's in front of Jesus, and she's holding this little tiny teddy bear, right? And she doesn't want to let the tiny teddy bear go, and Jesus is going to give her this big giant teddy bear. So I always envision that, you know, just let it go, move on, have trust.
Yeah, because God's got bigger and better for you. That's excellent. All right, last question. This is called the She is Extraordinary podcast. So I always end each episode asking my guests to share about an extraordinary woman in your life and what makes her extraordinary.
Oh, an extraordinary woman in my life. I would say, you know, right now I'm really missing, as I shared earlier, my mom is mentally handicapped. So I always felt like I was the mom in our relationship. And my grandparents, my grandmothers, I was super close to, and they're deceased. I really don't have ladies, unfortunately, in my life that I'm close to and that empower me that way. I would say in my life, it was who I call my Nana, who was the mother figure to me. And she was really everything. She was, you know, I'm Italian. She was that Italian, you know, great stature of a lady, just mushy. She just really kept me in check, and you know, taught me to cook and taught me everything, taught me about giving. Really, everybody was always coming to her looking for advice, and she was always giving, and that was my lady for sure.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, thank you, Rhonda. This has been a powerful episode. Believe me, when you listen back to this, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, is that me? Amazing advice that I have no doubt will impact so many. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Now, ladies, listen, thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make it a point to pause right now and leave us a rating and a review. Your feedback means so much to me. Also, feel free to find me on social. I'm at Judy Weber Live. I want to know what kind of topics you would like me to talk about in future episodes. And if you know of an amazing lady, an extraordinary lady that I need to interview, make sure you tell me about her. All right, ladies, we will see you next time. Mwah. Take good care.